After a great start to the weekend, things quickly turned bad for the Atlanta Braves as they drop a series in Seattle to the Mariners. Jake Odorizzi has another rough outing. Kenley Jansen blows another save, which brings into question what needs to happen in the rotation for the Braves. Do changes need to be made? And is it time to give Raisel Iglesias a shot at the closer's role? We'll talk about that. Also, give you our weekly minor league update on a Monday episode of Lockedon Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on Twitter at ShortstopBall. Check out my bio there to see where I'm covering the game of baseball, including the Atlanta Braves in written form over at TomahawkTake.com, where I've been the co-editor for several years now. Also, make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves, where you can send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button and that notification bell so that you can help support the show. And thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen of every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and are free and available on all platforms. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the weekend series in Seattle, talk about Odorizzi's performance and what needs to happen in the rotation. Is his time there over? Talk about Kenley Jansen and his struggles continuing in one-run games, and is it time for him to lose his job and perhaps give Iglesias a chance, or maybe even AJ Minter? We'll discuss that. We'll also give our weekly minor league update. You have one minor league team for the Braves whose season has come to an end, so we'll talk about that, and then we'll set you up for Monday's game against the San Francisco Giants. The Braves do end up losing a series in Seattle. Look, there's nothing wrong with losing a series to the Seattle Mariners, who are a very good team, but you just felt like the Braves had a chance to win it, certainly, and just weren't able to pull it out. But certainly, nothing wrong with losing a series in Seattle, a tough place to play. That's a really good team that I think is just going to get better over the years to come. We'll talk about it. The offense just wasn't able to get anything going on Saturday. And then after a heroic comeback in the ninth inning on Sunday, you had another blown save by Kenley Jansen. So it was a really entertaining, fun series from a baseball perspective, but it was a tough series loss. And coupled with the fact that the Mets bounced back after losing on Friday night to win the next two games against the Marlins, they now take a 1.5 game lead back in the NL East. So certainly hate the way things played out. As I said the other day, things far from over. The Mets schedule is just too easy the rest of the way. The Braves pretty much have to be perfect down the stretch, and you got to take advantage to win every game that you have the opportunity to do so. And they weren't able to do that on Sunday, and the Mets are back now to a game and a half lead over the Atlanta Braves. So Braves got some work to do, and again, they're going to need some help from some unexpected sources in the rest of this month if they are going to overtake the Mets and stay on top of the Mets in the NL East. But let's start with Sunday's game. I think that's the one that's really needed to talk about. Saturday, offense just couldn't get anything going. Max Fried gave up a couple of home runs, but was good otherwise. Just really wasn't much going at all for the Atlanta Braves on Saturday as they lost that game to the Seattle Mariners 3-1. But Sunday, I felt like was a really good chance to bounce back and win that game and win those series. Thought it was a very favorable matchup for the Braves offense. They couldn't get anything going, but also Jake Odorizzi just didn't help matters at all and allowed things to kind of get out of hand early on. Skipped his last start with arm fatigue, so was hoping he'd be well rested, come back and pitch a good game as we had seen him do in his previous two outings. But instead comes in, can't get out of the fifth inning there, or the fourth inning rather, just goes 3 2/3 innings, gives up 4 runs, 3 walks. Just really, not a good outing. And he had a leadoff base runner in every inning. So certainly not what you were hoping for. And you look at his time with the Braves now, 6 starts, 29 innings pitched, 35 hits. That's a lot of hits. 10 walks as well. That's a lot of walks. He only had 17 walks in all of his starts with the Astros, 16 earned runs, just 22 strikeouts, a 4.97 ERA, and a 1.55 whip, again, in 6 starts with the Braves. He's completed 5 innings in just 50% of his starts. Even as a fifth starter, you would be hoping to get a little bit more consistency and length out of your fifth starter, going at least 5 innings more often than not. And that has not been the case so far. Again, just 3 of 6 starts, he's gone at least 5 innings. He's given up a home run in all but one of his outings, struggling with the home run ball. Look, most of you probably aren't going to agree with me on this, and that's fine. I still think he's okay as a fifth starter on most teams, but the Braves are one of the best teams in baseball. Their record shows that. This is a team fighting for a division, trying to avoid a division title, trying to avoid a first round bye in the postseason. And I think they have better options. And that's where, we stand right now with Jake Odorizzi is, again, I think over the course of a season, I think you can live with him as your fifth starter if he's consistently giving you 5 outings. And I think the changes he's made, when used correctly, I think are fine. It's just the margin of error with him is so thin. That four seam fastball, which has a lot of run on it, if he's locating it correctly and he's getting it up and into righties, up and away to lefties, if he can continually hit that spot, he's very effective and has been very effective over his last couple of starts. But if he misses over the middle with that pitch, it's getting hit hard. And you saw that in the game on Sunday. Anytime he missed with that four seam fastball up and over the middle of the plate, it was getting crushed, whether it was the home run to Julio Rodriguez or it was the triple to Adam Frazier. Both of those were four seamers that you wanted, up and away to Frazier or up and in to Rodriguez, and they didn't get there, and they stayed out over the middle, and they got absolutely demolished. So again, when he locates that pitch, I think he's very effective and can be very effective. But it's just the margin of error with him is so thin because he doesn't throw very hard. So you leave that over the middle and it's going to get crushed. So again, I think he can be effective. I think that pitch is been effective, but it's just a small margin of error because he doesn't throw particularly hard. And, for any pitcher, you're leaving pitches over the middle of the plate. It gives the batter a better chance of squaring one up. But it was really the 2 walks in the fourth inning. I mean, he had been okay through the first 3 innings. He gave that leadoff homer to Julio Rodriguez, but then he started off that fourth inning walking a couple batters, got squeezed on a pitch against Carlos Santana, but really just wasn't. The pitches weren't close in those first 2 at-bats, and you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt when you're not around the zone. So you walk those first 2 batters, and like I said, left that four-seamer that cut right down the middle of the plate to Adam Frazier. He crushed it for a triple. Made it 3-1. And he had a runner on third with nobody out and got the next 2 guys. And I thought, okay, if he escapes this, only giving up, those 2 runs, I feel like he's at least done a good job of keeping the team in the game. Maybe he can give you, one more inning and get through 5. But then he gives up another hit to the number 9 batter, another run. And that right there was just the end of it. You could kind of see it in Snickers walk out to the mound. He was over it at that point. I think Braves fans are over it at this point. I think you got to take him out of the rotation. I don't know what you do with him. And in all honesty, I don't understand his contract structure. So maybe somebody in the comments can help explain this. I was talking it over with others, and it's just kind of confusing because he has the player option. But I think if the Braves just DFA him now, it's a $3.2 million buyout. But I think we're at that point. Look, you gave up Will Smith, who wasn't giving you much in the bullpen, and you were paying him a lot. If you got to eat $3.25 million to cut Odorizzi to give you a better chance every 5th day, I think that's a risk the Braves are going to have to take right now. And you look at the other options, Bryce Elder, who has pitched well, Kyle Muller, who has been great at Gwinnett and was great last time he came up. I think those are 2 solid options I'd rather see over Odorizzi right now. Mike Soroka working his way back. We'll talk about him more when we go through the minor league segment. And you got Ian Anderson as well, who the results haven't been great at AAA, but Odorizzi's not giving you really much more than what Ian Anderson was giving you. And at least we've seen Ian Anderson be good at times with the Braves in the past. So I just think there's other options you got to explore. I think Odorizzi's time has kind of ran out with the Atlanta Braves, and it's time to move on. Speaking of moving on, it may be time to move on in the closer's role as well. Kenley Jansen has 7 blown saves on the year now, second most in all of baseball, 3 in the last 2 weeks. And in his last 7 games, he's pitched 5 2/3 innings, given up 7 hits, 4 walks, 7 earned runs, and 5 strikeouts. Now, it did look like maybe things were coming together his last 2 outings. His last 2 outings were clean, no hits, no walks, what you love to see. He hasn't walked anybody in his last 3 appearances, but he's also allowed a run in 4 of his last 7 appearances. And when you're a closer and you're coming into tight games, especially one-run games, you need more scoreless outings, basically, when you're coming out of the bullpen, and he's just not giving you that lately. He's given up multiple runs in 3 of his last 7 outings as well. He's been good at times this year, and I think the Braves are going to need him to be good again if they're going to do anything in the postseason, but you clearly can't trust him right now, especially in a one-run game. And I think it's Raisel Iglesias' turn to get a shot. Look, Iglesias was having some issues in Anaheim as well. He has 4 blown saves on the year and 21 chances. That's 19 fewer than Kenley Jansen. He blew 5 saves all of last year and 39 chances. But with the Braves, a 15 2/3 innings, just 8 hits, 4 walks, 1 earned, no home runs, and 19 strikeouts. He's been pretty dominant. And what I love, his walk rate, 6.4% compared to 8.7% for Kenley Jansen. You know the guy's going to come in and throw strikes. You know he's not going to walk a bunch of batters. So I certainly love that out of somebody in that closer's role. You could also play matchups in the 9th inning. You could bring in, if you have a bunch of lefties coming up in the 8th inning, then you bring in Minter and save Iglesias for the 9th, or vice versa. If you have a bunch of lefties or a bunch of righties coming up in the 8th inning, then maybe you pitch Iglesias and save Minter for the 9th. So I think you can play matchups there as well. Look, Kenley, I'm not giving up on Kenley completely on the closer's role. It's getting kind of late in the season, to really switch and then maybe go back. But I think for this point, he needs to be moved down into some lower leverage situations until he gets things figured out. And one thing I've noticed in September, he's throwing his cutter less for some reason, even though that pitch is still unhittable. And the numbers show, batters just aren't squaring it up. And you look at the home runs he gave up on Sunday, one was on a slider and one was on a sinker. And he threw 6 cutters on Sunday. 4 of them were strikes, or 5 of them were strikes. One of them produced an out. Only one of them was called a ball. I don't know why he's not going to that cutter more. It's his best pitch. I mean, he's still throwing it over 50% of the time, but I mean, he should be throwing it 60+% of the time. It's his best pitch. Hitters aren't hitting it. You're struggling like you are. Why are you not throwing that pitch more? The only thing I can think of is that he just doesn't have the confidence in it right now. And he has struggled with command at times over the last, 2 or 3 weeks now. But I think he needs to rely more on that cutter going forward. If you're going to go down with your best pitch. And right now, I just think he's gone away from it a little too much. I want to just quickly talk about the offense. It went silent for a time. I talked about Saturday. They did virtually nothing. And then against Marco Gonzalez, I mean, just 2 hits and no walks in 6 innings against Marco Gonzalez. Look, all the blame can go on the pitching Sunday. They ended up scoring 7 runs. When you score 7 runs, you got to win that game. But the offense did nothing against Marco Gonzalez virtually through 6 innings. The only run they scored was an Austin Riley home run on a 3-0 cookie that he got right down the middle. So they did literally nothing outside of that against Marco Gonzalez. That just can't happen from this Braves offense. Acuna and Swanson go 0 for 9. Acuna and Swanson, Riley, and Olsen were combined 1 for 14. Olsen did walk twice, and Riley homered and had that walk, but the top of the order really not getting it done. 1 for 7 runners in scoring position on Sunday. So this offense, look, it can strike quick. We saw that in the 9th inning, what they can do, but you just can't disappear for innings at a time like that, especially against Marco Gonzalez, a lefty, which Braves typically crush, and they just do nothing for 6 innings of the game. That just can't happen. And then I wanted to mention Michael Harris versus Julio Rodriguez, two of the best rookies in all of baseball. They put on a show over the weekend. Again, just from a fan perspective, it was a lot of fun to see. Michael Harris, 4 hits on the weekend, 3 homers and a double. J-Rod had 6 hits on the weekend, 2 home runs and a double. He also walked 3 times. He had the game-tying home run in the 9th inning on Sunday. So those two were a lot of fun to watch. Going to be a lot of fun for years to come, as they are both locked up long-term for their respective teams. So I did enjoy that, although J-Rod continually killed the Braves. That was not fun. All right, next we'll turn our attention to the minor league level, where the seasons are about to wrap up for the Braves prospects. We'll look at that next. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes in LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job to the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to hire, interview, and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. And did you know every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. The minor league season is coming to an end, but it's obviously been a very good season for the Braves prospects who have come up and made a major impact at the big league level. Looking at the current top prospects for the Atlanta Braves, Kyle Muller this past week, 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned, 6 strikeouts. Not his best outing, but solid overall. Jared Schuster, who again struggled a little bit since getting called up to AAA, 4 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 3 earned, 4 strikeouts. Bryce Elder did not pitch this last week. He pitched for the Braves last week. Gwinnett's had a lot of rainouts, which has really hurt Ozzie Albies' rehab assignment, but Elder did not pitch this last week. Owen Murphy bounced back. He and J.R. Ritchie actually both bounced back after their first rough outings as professionals. Owen Murphy, 4 innings, no hits, 1 walk, no earned, 5 strikeouts. And then J.R. Ritchie, 4 innings, 3 hits, no walks, 1 earned. It was on a home run, solo home run. He did hit a batter, but had 6 strikeouts. So both of the Braves' top 2 recent draft picks really bounced back well in what could be their last outings of the year. Darius Vines for Gwinnett, 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 walks, no earned, 3 strikeouts. Solid performance there. Freddie Tarnock, who didn't get to pitch last week because of rain, had a little bit of rust, maybe just 3 innings, gave up 6 hits, 2 walks, 7 earned runs, 2 home runs allowed, and just 3 strikeouts. Justin Henry Malloy, he is really putting on a nice finish to this season. He was 8 for 22 last week, had a double, a homer, and 7 walks. He had a .516 on-base percentage this past week. He has 13 walks in his last 11 games, and there's a lot of strikeouts in his game, a lot of swing and miss. But if you can, kind of offset that with a good eye at the plate and take some walks with the power that he's shown, the extra base hit ability, we could be talking about a pretty special player in Justin Henry Malloy, who certainly has had a great finish to his season there at Mississippi. AJ Smith-Shawver still hasn't pitched since August 5th. I still really have heard no word on the injury issue for him. I got to think he's done for the regular season, but I think perhaps if the injury isn't, too significant, I think we could see him in the Arizona Fall League later this year. I think he'd be a good candidate to go there for the Braves to get those innings that he missed. Some notables from each level at Gwinnett: Taylor Motter, 9 for 15, 2 doubles, 4 home runs, 7 runs batted in, 4 walks to just 2 strikeouts. He slashed 600, 684, 1533 this past week. That's a 2217 OPS. So a huge week for Taylor Motter in the games that Gwinnett did get to play. Hernan Perez had another good week as well, 6 for 19 with 2 homers, 2 stolen bases. Both of those guys, veteran middle infielders or infielders, that are there for depth. Maybe they aren't needed, but certainly have been performing well at Gwinnett this year if needed. Michael Tonkin, Gwinnett's closer, 2 innings, no hits, 1 walk, no earned, 3 Ks, 2 saves. He's been pretty good lately after a rough month of August. At Mississippi, Andrew Moritz was 9 for 18, 3 doubles, 2 home runs, 7 runs scored, 5 runs batted in. So a big week at the plate for Andrew Moritz. Jalen Miller was 7 for 22 with 2 doubles, a homer, 8 walks, and 4 stolen bases. And then the Braves pitching at Mississippi really good last week. Tanner Gordon, 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 walks, just 2 earned and 6 strikeouts. And Alan Winans, 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 walk, 2 runs, none earned, and 6 strikeouts. I feel like those guys have been on this list the last couple of weeks now. Nothing overpowering, but I feel like those guys are turning into solid back of the rotation starters. And so that's good to see. Indigo Diaz, who I think could be a big part of the bullpen, maybe as soon as next year. Three innings this past week, no hits, no walks, no earned, and 5 strikeouts. So a big week for him. Down at Rome, who the regular season is over for Rome, but they won their division, so they'll be in the postseason this week. But Cal Conley was solid this past week at the plate, 5 for 14, a double and a homer. On the mound, Luis Diavila, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 8 strikeouts. And then Royber Salinas, 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, did hit a batter, and 6 strikeouts. I tweeted this out, but over his last 4 games started, 18 innings pitched, just 7 hits allowed. He has walked 8 batters, but 6 of those came in one outing, just 2 in the other 3 starts. Only 3 earned runs allowed and 24 strikeouts. So been really good for Royber Salinas lately. He was great at Augusta to start the year, got the promotion to Rome, kind of struggled a little bit, but here over his last 4 starts seems to be figuring some things out. Big arm there for Salinas. And at Augusta, whose season does come to an end, recent draft pick Kevin Kilpatrick had 7 hits on the week, including 3 doubles, a stolen base, 4 runs scored. Drake Baldwin was 6 for 21, had 4 walks as well to just 6 strikeouts. Jorge Bautista, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, and 8 strikeouts. James Acuna, 2 games, 5 1/3 innings pitched, no hits, no walks, no earned, 7 strikeouts, and a save. And then Blake Burkhalter, one of the recent draft picks from Auburn. 1 game started, which is interesting in itself that he started the game. 3 innings pitched, no hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts. He was a reliever for Auburn when the Braves drafted him. So we'll see if they develop him as a starter or as a reliever. This past outing would lead you to believe that perhaps they still envision him as a starter, but a very good outing for him with Augusta, perhaps to finish his season. Mike Soroka, Ed Gwinnett, his last rehab start, 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned, 3 strikeouts, 76 pitches. So that final line doesn't look great. But when you look back at the outing, he breezed through the first 3 innings. In the first inning, it was ground out, line out, called strikeout. And then second inning, ground out, walk, ground out. So getting the ball on the ground. In the third inning, it was ground out, strikeout, swinging, ground out. So 2 more ground outs in the third inning. And then for whatever reason, the beginning of the fourth inning, things just kind of fell apart. He started the inning with a walk and then followed by a double, triple, and single. Then he got a strikeout swing, a flyout, and a ground out to end his outing. So perhaps, still kind of working up that stamina, going deep into games. That's why I don't know that I completely trust calling him up right now to take the spot of Odorizzi. I think I need to see him get through 5 innings, which he hasn't been able to do quite yet. I need to see him get up closer to 90 pitches and honestly just see the results a little bit better. I mean, seeing him getting the ball on the ground is great, but I think, obviously coming back after not pitching for 2 years, still trying to work up that stamina. So I think we see at least another rehab outing for Mike Soroka. Ian Anderson, I already talked about this on the podcast the other day. 5 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 4 walks, 4 earned, 5 strikeouts. Even as bad as he's been since going back down to Gwinnett, at least the walks had been down until this last performance. So, again, I don't really know that I trust Ian Anderson being called up to take Odorizzi at this point, which is why I put Elder and Moeller ahead of both Soroka and Anderson at the moment. And then Ozzie Albies, just 1 for 11 this past week, 3 strikeouts. Overall, he's just 3 for 18, no walks and 4 strikeouts. All the rainouts really hurting him. He's only played in 5 games, 2 of those in the field, which is good to see last week. But he just needs more at-bats. He needs more time. And as I said, thankfully, Von Grissom, who had a scary moment in the game on Sunday, is okay. because, the way he's been playing, there's no reason to really rush Ozzie Albies. Let him get his at-bats. Let him get back up to speed and get where we know that he can be before calling him up. So that's your weekly minor league update. Again, just a couple more on the season, and then I'll do my updated top 10 in the offseason. Next, we'll turn the page to the Braves versus the Giants and their game on Monday night. We'll talk about that next. The Atlanta Braves will look to bounce back Monday night as they head to San Francisco for a 3-game set with the Giants, their final West Coast trip of the year. The Giants are 8-12 in their last 20 games, 13-17 in their last 30 games. They just won a series at Wrigley over the Cubs, but had lost 5 in a row before that. They have a 672 OPS as a team over the last 30 days. That's 21st in MLB. Pitching, which has been solid in the last couple of years and really carried them. They have a 3.73 ERA and a 1.28 WHIP over their last 30 days. So still pretty solid pitching-wise, but offensively just haven't been getting it done over the last 30 days. The matchup on Monday night, Spencer Strider versus Alex Cobb. Alex Cobb's been really good over his last 7 starts, 2-1, a 2.90 ERA, a 1.31 WHIP. That WHIP would lead you to believe perhaps there's a little bit of luck involved there. But 40 1/3 innings, 39 hits, 14 walks, 41 strikeouts. Before his last start, which he only lasted 4 1/3 innings against the Dodgers, he had gone at least 5 innings in 12 straight starts and given up 3 earned or less in 11 of them. So, consistently going out there, giving his team innings and keeping his team in the game is what Alex Cobb has done. He throws a sinker, a splitter, and a curveball the majority of the time. He has big whiff rates on that split and that curve, and he seeks to get soft contact on that sinker, which can be in the mid-90s, and he's hoping to get hitters to chase it, off the plate for some weak contact. So that's a strategy to watch for Alex Cobb. Strategy for Spencer Strider is to blow people away and rack up the strikeouts, and hopefully that's what he's going to do on Monday night, as the Giants have the 5th most strikeouts in all of baseball. They do also have the 5th most walks, so hopefully Strider has his command with him from the start. We saw last outing really struggled in that first inning, but the Giants will take their walks. They also will strike out a ton, and let's hope that's the case for Spencer Strider, as he needs 17 strikeouts in his next 10 innings to be the quickest player ever to reach 200 strikeouts in a single season, breaking a record set by Randy Johnson. So would love to see that happen. Either way, him getting to 200 strikeouts this year, which he'll likely do over his next 2 starts, would be pretty incredible. But most of all, the Braves need a win. Last 2 losses, obviously pretty tough, especially the one on Sunday. We've seen the Braves bounce back from much worse this year. Hopefully they can do that on Monday, get on another winning streak. And like I said, in this West Coast trip strong. And hopefully the Braves get a little bit of help from the Cubs, who are playing the New York Mets this week. That will do it for this episode. Thanks for making a Lockedon Braves your first listen of the day. Now go make your second listen, Lockedon MLB Podcast, where MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and a unique perspective on every team and talks about the biggest stories from around the league. I was actually on his podcast the other day talking about the Atlanta Braves, if you want to go check that out. But again, thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at @Lockedon_Braves. You can follow me at @ShortstopBall. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.